Have you ever felt the strange, discordant sensation of a musical instrument being retuned while you are still trying to play it? One moment, you are moving through the familiar melody of your life, your hands knowing just where to go. The next, a string is tightened by an unseen hand. A note that was once warm and true now sounds sharp, almost painful. Another string is loosened, and what was once a vibrant tone becomes dull and lifeless. You try to keep playing, but the harmony is gone. All that remains is a jarring tension, a sense of profound dissonance between the music you are trying to make and the sound that is actually coming out. Your very being feels like that instrument stretched, strained, and producing a song you no longer recognize. This, my friend, is perhaps the most accurate way I can describe the beginning of a truly profound spiritual transformation. It doesn't always start with a brilliant flash of light or a voice from the heavens. More often, it begins with this deep internal dissonance, an unsettling within your physical form that logic cannot explain away. It is a weariness that seeps into your bones, a fatigue that no amount of sleep can cure because its source is not physical. It is a strange stirring in your soul, a quiet hum of anxiety or agitation that you simply cannot name. I have walked this path, and I have mentored many others as they stumbled onto it. The first reaction is almost always the same: confusion and fear. You begin to grapple with these sensations, asking yourself the same frantic questions over and over. What is wrong with me? Am I sick? Am I losing my mind? We live in a world that demands simple explanations for everything. So, naturally, we seek one. We schedule appointments with doctors, hoping for a diagnosis that can be written on a prescription pad. We scour the internet for syndromes that match our symptoms. We might confide in friends who, with the best of intentions, tell us we're just stressed, overworked, or need a vacation. Many would simply dismiss these feelings, label them as burnout, and try to push through. But deep down, in the quietest part of your spirit, you know it's something more. You have a persistent, nagging sense that what you are experiencing is significant, even if it is deeply uncomfortable. It feels less like a random illness and more like a specific, targeted event, and that quiet inner voice is speaking the truth. Let me be clear. This timing is not random. The season you are in, the precise way your physical self is responding, it is all happening for a reason, right at this very moment. It is a sign that God's purpose for you, a destiny He has been nurturing within you for years, is drawing near. It is closer than your rational mind can even begin to sense. And precisely because His divine timing is at hand, a spiritual opposition awakens. Understand this principle. Significant breakthroughs are almost always preceded by significant battles. The one who opposes God's every plan, the enemy of our potential, recognizes the spiritual season you are entering even before you do. He sees that God is about to move, and his strategy is one of disruption. He knows he cannot steal the purpose from your spirit. So he attacks the bridge that connects your spirit to your actions, your physical body. He seeks to sever that sacred invisible link between your inner being and your physical form. His primary targets are your vitality, your peace, and your clarity of mind. He wants to fill your body with so much static, so much fatigue, and so much anxiety that you become too distracted and discouraged to perceive the sacred thing that is about to unfold. He hopes to make you believe you are breaking down, right at the moment you are about to break through. This is why, in this specific season, Your physical form feels so prominent, so loud, so demanding of your attention. Every small ache feels magnified. Your energy levels feel unpredictable. Your emotional state feels fragile. The enemy's goal is to make you turn your focus inward on your perceived weakness, rather than upward toward the divine strength that is being perfected in you. He wants to convince you that your body is failing, so you will retreat from the very threshold you are meant to cross. And now, I want you to lean in and hear what is perhaps the single most important truth for this stage of your journey. Listen closely, because this understanding is not common knowledge. It is a sacred secret for those who are willing to perceive beyond the surface. Your body is not failing you, my child. It is being prepared. Read those words again. Let them sink past the fear and the confusion. Your body is not the enemy. It is the construction site. It is not a casualty of war. It is the training ground for a promotion. Think of a massive ship being brought into dry dock. To the uninformed observer, it looks like it's been taken out of commission. It's stationary, covered in scaffolding, with workers taking it apart piece by piece. It is loud, messy, and far from glorious. But the engineer knows the truth. The ship is not being destroyed. It is being retrofitted to carry a far more precious and heavy cargo than ever before. It is being strengthened to withstand mightier oceans and to journey to more distant shores. That is what is happening to you. Your physical being is being made ready to carry something sacred. It is being calibrated to contain and express a fuller measure of God's presence than you have ever known. Do not shrink from these sensations. Do not label them as weakness, anxiety, or failure. They are signs. They are signals from the dry dock. They are the echoes of divine construction. They are the evidence that your physical being is entering a new kind of readiness, a readiness for God's Spirit to move through you in ways that will change everything. This is a holy invitation, disguised as a physical struggle. It is a call to stop seeing your body as a problem to be solved and to start seeing it as a partner in this sacred process. It is a call to be gentle with yourself, to offer your body the rest and nourishment it needs, not just for physical health, but as an act of worship and cooperation with the divine work being done within you. This moment, this message, is precisely for the state you are in, for the dissonant notes you hear, for the weariness you feel. Do not turn away now. Stay here with me in this understanding. The journey of transformation has begun, and recognizing the nature of this first step is the key to enduring what is to come. You are not breaking down. You are being rebuilt for glory. In our next conversation, we will explore why. Why you? Why were you designed with the kind of spiritual and physical sensitivity that makes this process so palpable? We will uncover the sacred gift hidden within the very wiring that now feels so strained. In our last conversation, we stood together at the edge of a profound realization that the unsettling feelings in your body, the deep weariness, and the mental fog are not signs of failure, but the sacred echoes of divine preparation. We reframe the struggle, not as a breakdown, but as the messy, noisy, yet holy work of being retrofitted for a greater purpose. But I know this realization, as comforting as it may be, inevitably leads to a deeper, more personal, and perhaps more painful question. It's a question that whispers in your loneliest moments. Why me? Why does this process feel so intensely personal, so physically palpable for you, while others seem to coast through their lives with blissful unawareness? Why must you feel every spiritual shift as if it were a weather system moving through your own body? You might look at those around you, at their seemingly simple joys and untroubled ease, and ache with a longing to be like them. The burden of this sensitivity can feel immense, like being asked to hear a symphony in a world that only acknowledges the drumbeat. It can feel at times like a curse. Today, I want to sit with you in that feeling. And then, with all the love and certainty in my heart, I want to help you understand that what feels like a burden is, in fact, your greatest spiritual inheritance. Imagine that most people in the world are built like a standard AM/FM radio. They are designed to pick up the strong, clear, local broadcast signals of everyday life, work, family, entertainment, ambition. They function perfectly within that range. But you, my child, were created differently. You were fashioned not as a standard radio, but as a highly sensitive multi-band receiver capable of picking up frequencies that others don't even know exist. You were designed to perceive the subtle, long-wave signals of the Spirit, the quiet whisper of heaven that is easily drowned out by the static of the world. This is not a flaw in your design. It is your design itself. God fashioned you uniquely. I need you to let that truth settle into your soul. Your sensitivity is not a sign of weakness. It is the evidence of your high-specification build. You were created to be guided by my Spirit, not merely by the logic of your thoughts. And for that guidance to be effective, you needed a receiver capable of catching the signal. That receiver is your very being, your spirit, mind, and yes, your physical body. When my spirit stirs, your physical form is the first to know. This is the key that unlocks so much of your life's experience. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a room and felt an immediate sense of peace or a heavy wave of dread for no logical reason? Have you ever met someone and had an instant inner knowing, a sense of safety, or a clear warning that your mind couldn't yet justify? This is not mere imagination. This is your body, your spiritual seismograph, picking up tremors in the spiritual atmosphere that others cannot perceive. You feel things before your reasoning comprehends them, because your body was designed to perceive my closeness, and by extension, the things that align with or oppose that closeness. This unique wiring also explains why certain things drain you so profoundly. Why does being in a large crowd leave you feeling utterly exhausted, as if your very life force has been siphoned away? It is not simply social anxiety. For your sensitive system, a crowd is a cacophony of spiritual static. You are unconsciously processing the fear, anger, ambition, pain, and distraction of hundreds of different souls. Your receiver is being overwhelmed with conflicting signals, and the effort to maintain your own frequency amidst that chaos is exhausting. This is also why certain environments can diminish your energy, even if they are beautiful or seemingly peaceful. There can be spiritual residues, unseen currents that your system detects and reacts to. And conversely, it is why you require moments of quiet, periods of time apart, and space to simply exist. This is not you being antisocial or reclusive. This is a fundamental need of your design. It is your spirit's way of taking the sensitive receiver out of the noisy city and into the quiet wilderness so it can recalibrate, filter out the static, and tune back into the clear, life-giving signal of my voice. Your need for quiet is not a withdrawal. It is a direct response to my summons. Now, we must talk about the responsibility that comes with this gift. Those who carry something precious must be mindful of how they live. Imagine you were tasked with carrying a priceless Ming vase through a bustling, chaotic marketplace. You would not move like the person next to you carrying a bag of potatoes. You would walk deliberately. You would be acutely aware of your surroundings. You would create space around you. You would be mindful of every step, every turn. My child, you were created to bear something precious. That precious thing is the capacity to host the manifest presence of God in a tangible way. Your capacity for deep feeling, which you may have mistaken for emotional instability, is not a failing. It is a sacred trust I have entrusted to you. It is the very faculty through which you will perceive my guidance, discern the truth, and minister to a world desperately in need of what you carry. I did not create you to merge into the background and be like everyone else. I created you to be a living, breathing sanctuary. This understanding is not meant to puff you up with pride or make you feel superior. On the contrary, it is a humbling truth meant to equip you. I am helping you understand your physical self more fully, not for display, but so you may walk your path correctly. When you understand that your fatigue is a signal to retreat and recharge, you will honor it. When you recognize that a feeling of inner turmoil is your spirit reacting to a misaligned environment, you will have the wisdom to remove yourself from it. You are learning the language of your own soul. So, let us put the old labels to rest. You are not overly sensitive. You are not frail. You are not unstable. You are not weak. You are simply attuned to something immense. And the immense cannot be treated as if it were common. Embrace your design. The path you are on may feel uncertain, but it is a path of honor. You were chosen for it. The very sensitivity that causes you discomfort is the same sensitivity that will allow you to experience depths of intimacy with God, heights of spiritual clarity, and a level of purpose that others can only dream of. Now that we understand why you are built this way, a sensitive vessel designed to carry a precious gift, we must face the next, and perhaps most challenging, part of the process. For a vessel to be filled with something new and holy, it must first be emptied of all that is old and unworthy. We must now talk about the slow, often painful, but absolutely essential work of clearing the way. That is where our journey will take us next. My friend, in our last conversation, we came to the profound understanding that you are a sensitive vessel, intentionally designed by God to perceive and carry something precious. We embrace the truth that your unique sensitivity is not a flaw, but a feature. However, before a priceless treasure can be placed within a vessel, that vessel must first be made utterly clean, worthy of what it is to hold. This brings us to the most misunderstood season of the entire spiritual journey, the slow, silent, and often painful work of clearing the way. Imagine a forgotten chamber in an ancient palace, chosen by the king to become his personal study. It cannot simply be dusted and aired out. The work required is far more extensive. The old, moth-eaten tapestries must be torn down. The worn, faded carpets must be rolled up and removed. The rickety, broken furniture must be carried out. The very walls might need to be stripped down to the stone and replastered. To an outside observer, the room looks worse than when the work began. It looks empty, barren, chaotic, and destroyed. But the king's master builder sees not the destruction, but the potential. He is not ruining a room. He is preparing a sanctuary. This is the season you may have just walked through, or perhaps are in the midst of right now. It is a time that feels like a spiritual winter. Perhaps you wondered, my child, why everything seemed to move so slowly for a time, why the lightness you desperately prayed for felt so distant. You may have questioned why your quiet requests didn't appear to be answered, and why feeling whole seemed to arrive in frustrating stages, not all at once. From a human perspective, this season feels like abandonment. It feels like you've been forgotten, overlooked, or even punished. You see others moving forward, receiving their breakthroughs, and your heart aches with the question, what about me? Have I missed my opportunity? Let me reveal the deeper, holy reality of what was truly happening. That long season of waiting was not a refusal from God. It was an essential, loving, and profoundly necessary time for clearing the way. Before God could fully establish you in the new purpose He had prepared, He first needed to gently clear away everything within you that could not accompany you there. This wasn't about simply changing your outward behaviors. It was a deep spiritual excavation. I was gently drawing out things held deep within your spirit, things woven into your very way of reacting and being. This kind of divine purification isn't sudden or loud like a thunderstorm. It is a slow, tender cleansing, often unfolding so quietly that it goes unnoticed until it's nearly finished. So, how does this holy purge manifest? It often shows itself in ways we mistake for personal failure or depression. It shows itself as a fatigue you cannot explain. This isn't the tiredness from a lack of sleep. It's a soul-deep exhaustion because your entire being is expending immense energy on this internal renovation. While you are trying to live your normal life, your spirit is engaged in the heavy lifting of letting go. It also shows itself as a fading interest in things you once enjoyed. Activities, hobbies, even conversations that once brought you comfort or distraction now feel empty, heavy, or even repulsive to your spirit. Discussing subjects you once pursued now causes you fatigue. This is not you becoming boring or passionless. It is a sign that your spirit can no longer bear what once dulled its connection to God. Most painfully, this process can manifest as loss. As the old you is being dismantled, the things that were attached to that old self may begin to fall away. Connections with others, opportunities you were counting on, a feeling of stability you relied upon, all may be gently removed. And though it brings a very real pain, know this: every loss was creating space. God's purpose was not your suffering, but to assist what was not pure in rising to the surface and departing. What exactly was being removed? This was not merely physical clutter. It was a sacred sorting of your soul. What was being removed were the deep spiritual weights you may not have even known you were carrying. Patterns of thought and fear passed down through generations. Hidden shame over past failures that you thought were long buried. Quiet resentment that had taken root in your heart. Unexpressed sorrow and grief that had been locked away. All of it needed to emerge and depart, and the long season of waiting, of feeling adrift, created the sacred space for it to finally flow out. This is why your tears were not meaningless. They were part of the washing. Your time spent alone was not a punishment. It was the quiet, sterile environment needed for the slow, holy cleansing to finish its work. In these seasons of deep clearing, God is often silent. His silence is not a sign of His absence, but of His intense focus. The purpose is not to occupy your attention with grand pronouncements, but to make you empty, to give the hidden things room to leave. And I must tell you this, for it is vital. Throughout this entire vulnerable process, you were utterly protected. You were kept safe during this clearing out, shielded as space was being created within you. God's hand was steady, ensuring that the purge did not become a destruction. The process was slow, precisely because it was tender. If he had moved too swiftly, the shock of the release might have damaged the very parts of you he was trying to heal. He was the masterful surgeon, carefully removing what was harmful, while ensuring the vital organs of your soul, your faith, your hope, your love, remained intact. And now, because you endured that process, because you allowed his timing rather than fighting it, your spirit is becoming free. The pathways of your soul have been rinsed clean of past weights. You feel lighter in ways you didn't even realize you were burdened. Your body feels this difference. It moves more freely. It breathes more easily. The deepest part of you no longer shrinks from hard things, my child. It stands ready. You were not overlooked. You were being prepared. God's holy presence does not just settle into any random space. It settles into places that are intentionally prepared. The divine clearing was that preparation. He first helps you shed what hinders you, so that he can then fill you with his light. The barren, empty, silent chamber of your soul is now clean. The dust of the past has settled and been swept away. The work of stripping down is complete. And it is into this newly cleansed, quiet, and prepared space that something truly awesome can now begin to enter. The clearing is finished. Now, the presence arrives. And our next conversation will be about the most startling and tangible part of the journey: how your physical body learns to host the very weight and power of God Himself. My beloved friend, we left our last conversation standing at the threshold of a newly cleansed sanctuary. The long, painful work of clearing the way is complete. The old furniture of past regrets has been removed. The dusty tapestries of shame have been torn down. And the chamber of your soul stands quiet, empty, and prepared. But an empty sanctuary is not the end goal. It was prepared for a purpose. It was prepared for the King. So, what happens next? What happens when the holy presence, for whom this space was consecrated, finally arrives to take up residence? Our modern, logical minds might imagine this as a quiet, metaphorical event, a pleasant thought, a feeling of peace, an abstract sense of closeness. But I am here to tell you the truth is far more tangible, more powerful, and more physically startling than that. The arrival of God's manifest presence is not a gentle settling of dust. It is the installation of a divine power generator inside a cathedral built of stone and bone. The ancient structure of your physical body must now learn to handle a voltage of glory it was never originally built to contain. The very air within you will begin to crackle. The ground of your being will vibrate. Your physical form is beginning to resonate with the purpose I have for you. This is where the journey can become truly bewildering. You might be sitting in a moment of quiet reflection, and suddenly a wave of intense heat floods your chest, independent of the room's temperature. You may be praying, and your hands begin to tremble uncontrollably. Perhaps you feel a coolness that seems to come from nowhere, or your heart begins to beat rapidly without any cause for alarm. You may experience a tingling in your arms, a strange restlessness in your legs, or a tightness in your neck that has no physical origin. The first, most human reaction to these phenomena is, of course, fear. Your mind will rush in with its logical toolkit, trying to diagnose the issue. You might check your pulse, wonder if you're having an anxiety attack, or even fear that something is seriously physically wrong. This is a normal reaction. But I want to draw your attention to a deeper, quieter knowing that often accompanies these events. Even as your mind races with fear, doesn't your spirit whisper that this is something different? That what you are feeling, as strange as it is, feels significant? That it feels sacred? You must trust that inner witness. These are not random occurrences or signs of illness. These are the first physical signs that the glory of God is no longer just with you, but is beginning to flow through you. This is the tangible reality of what the ancients called the holy weight of God's presence. It is a substantive power, and when it encounters the boundaries of your physical form, your body must react. His presence is not always a gentle guest. It does not seek your physical form's permission to enter. When it comes, it presses deep inside you, and your body must yield. This is why your body seems to misbehave. It's why your hands might quiver, your legs might feel unsteady, or your breathing might suddenly become shallow. Your physical systems are grappling with a reality they cannot process through normal means. This is the sacred meeting of the natural with the supernatural, right inside your own skin. The crucial truth you must hold on to in these moments is this: you are not breaking down. You are being made capable of containing more. God is not destroying the vessel, He is expanding its capacity. The trembling is your nervous system, learning to handle a divine current. The heat is the friction of His purifying love. The pressure is the weight of a glory your frame is not yet accustomed to. I am increasing your capacity now. It's important to understand that these manifestations are incredibly personal and diverse. The outward manifestation differs, my child, but its origin is the same. Some individuals shed tears as a deep emotional release when my spirit moves. Others might feel an overwhelming need to recline or lie down, as their physical strength gives way to a superior power. Some feel intense heat, some tremble, and some become profoundly, unnaturally still. There is no correct response. Each body reacts uniquely to the holy presence. So, what is your role in this startling process? It is not what you might think. We are conditioned to control ourselves, to manage our reactions, to present a composed and steady face to the world. But in this sacred dance, your greatest act of faith is not to control, but to surrender. Your part is not to stop the reaction, but to surrender to it. Fighting the trembling only creates more tension. Feeling ashamed of the tears only stifles the release. Trying to power through the weakness only resists the very work He is trying to do. Surrender means allowing my spirit to direct your physical form in containing this power. It means consciously giving your body permission to learn. When you feel the warmth, lean into it. When you feel the trembling, breathe through it and offer it to Him. Trust in my closeness. Often, when your body yields in this way, it is the first true indication that my kingdom is establishing its home within you. This surrender can also be proactive. You have been given the right, the authority that comes with being a child of God, to speak to your own physical self. Not from a place of fear, but from a place of calm certainty because of the bond you share with me. You can speak to the tightness in your chest and say, "Peace." Expand to host Him. You can speak to your trembling hands and say, "Be still," and learn to carry this authority. This is not about mind over matter. It is about your spirit, which is one with God's Spirit, instructing your body on how to align with its new reality. Do not be afraid, my beloved one. You are not unstable. You are not overly sensitive in a negative way. You are responding appropriately to my holy power. This is the secret education of your physical form, teaching it how to manage supernatural currents. Once your body learns, once it adapts to this new level of glory, you will begin to move in a power you have only dreamed of, and you will do so without fear. You will walk into places with a holy confidence. You will speak, and your voice may tremble, yet it will not be from frailty. It will be from the vibration of glory, and others will feel it too. This inner transformation, this new capacity to host His presence, is not meant to remain a private, hidden experience. It is destined to overflow. In our next conversation, we will explore the glorious and inevitable result: how you become a living, breathing testimony, changing the very atmosphere around you simply by your presence. My cherished friend, we have journeyed together through the most intimate and bewildering stages of this transformation. We explored the unsettling physical process of your body learning to host the awesome, holy weight of God's presence. We sat together in the reality of the trembling, the heat, and the pressure, reframing it not as a breakdown, but as a divine expansion of your capacity. But I must tell you, this profound inner work, this sacred calibration, was never meant to be an end in itself. The purpose of filling a reservoir to its absolute brim is not so that the water can remain still and contained. The purpose is the inevitable, life-giving overflow. A reservoir that is full to capacity does not need to strive to make an impact. It does not need to announce its fullness. By its very nature, it begins to spill over its edges, creating streams and rivers that flow effortlessly into the dry, thirsty land around it, bringing life wherever they go. It does this not through great effort, but simply by being what it has become, full. You, my child, are becoming that full reservoir, and you are now entering the season of the holy overflow. The most significant shift that happens at this stage is almost entirely unconscious. You stop seeking transformation because you are now becoming the transformation itself. For years, your spiritual life may have been defined by striving to be better, to pray more, to overcome flaws, to attain peace. But the work God has been doing inside you is not loud or obvious for others to witness. It is profoundly sacred. And it has shifted you from a state of doing to a state of being. You have moved beyond merely reacting to what happens around you. You are now living from a steady certainty within. You have gone past the exhausting work of striving and have finally found a quiet center. This new state of being reveals itself in the small, quiet choices of your daily life. It is seen in your body, choosing not to walk down paths your spirit has already abandoned. It is the choice of calm, deliberate rest, rather than rushing into the next demand. It is choosing periods of intentional quiet over the noise of endless busyness. You are no longer trying to achieve peace. You are now living from a place of peace. This is the outcome when my truth finds a heart that is ready and welcoming. And now, others are beginning to sense this. It is one of the most mysterious and beautiful aspects of this stage. You might observe them pause when you speak, or regard you with a changed perspective. You may not have said anything profound, but they are not just reacting to your words, they are reacting to the peace your words are carried upon. You are becoming a person who, when you simply become quiet within yourself, can effortlessly shift the atmosphere of a place. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine walking into a room where a conversation is tense and anxious. The old you might have felt pressured to say something clever to fix it, or you might have absorbed the anxiety yourself. But the new you, the one who is a full reservoir, simply enters and sits in the stillness that God has placed deep inside you. You do not say a word, yet, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the tension in the room begins to dissipate. The frantic energy begins to calm. Your quiet presence will alter the surrounding air. Why? Because the stillness I have placed deep inside you now reaches out beyond you. This is not a figment of your imagination. This is the tangible impact of a life that has become a dwelling place for God. When you carry His presence, you carry His atmosphere. Others will notice that you carry something significant. Talk will change when you speak. Places will quiet down when you arrive. And it is critical that you understand the reason. It is not because of your outward appearance, your charming personality, or your own strength. It is because of the presence residing within you. My Spirit has made its resting place inside you, and the world, whether it knows it or not, is starved for that peace. Now we come to the great purpose of all this. Why would God put you through the unsettling preparation, the painful clearing, and the startling inhabitation? It was not just for your own benefit. You have remained concealed sufficiently long, been made ready sufficiently long, shown readiness in the quiet periods. But now, I am making you visible, where others can observe. This is not for their admiration of you, but so they might awaken. Your very existence is becoming a sign. You are being presented as evidence of my activity. When people look at you, they will marvel at your perseverance, at your unwavering nature, at how you bear peace as if it were a garment. And the simple truth will be that I renewed you in the unseen spaces so you could radiate in the visible realm. Your gentle expression will bring calm to anxious hearts. You have become the fulfillment of prayers you were not even aware were being offered for the world around you. With this new visibility comes a great temptation, the temptation to shrink back. When you notice people looking at you differently, when you feel the weight of your own influence in a room, the urge can be to dim your presence, to lessen your stature, to make others feel more comfortable. You must resist this with all your heart. The radiance I have set within you is now visible, and it is meant to be seen. You are a visible marker, positioned precisely as intended. To dim your light now would be to rob those around you of the very hope and peace they need to witness. The change you have undergone is subtle, yet its effect reaches further than you might expect. And you must understand that with this new reality comes a sacred responsibility. You are not merely being utilized, you are being entrusted. This new reality, this sacred trust, requires a new way of living. It requires a conscious stewardship of the presence you carry. In our final conversation, we will discuss how to walk in this holy purpose, how to protect the sacred space within you, and how to finish the race set before you with the endurance, grace, and power you have been so mercifully given. My beloved friend, we have traveled far together. We have stood in the unsettling confusion of the beginning, walked through the sacred fire of purification, learned to host the awesome weight of His presence, and have finally arrived at the glorious truth that you are now a living testimony, a reservoir of peace overflowing into a thirsty world. But as with any great gift, with this sacred overflow comes a sacred responsibility. This final conversation is not about adding a new set of rules to your life, but about imparting the wisdom needed to steward the incredible gift you have become. This is not about earning what you have been so freely given, but about honoring it. Think of yourself as a master gardener who has been given a plot of land. You have endured the arduous work of clearing the rocks and pulling the weeds. You have tilled the soil and planted the most precious seeds. You have watched in awe as life has miraculously sprung forth. The garden is now flourishing. The journey of creation is complete. Now begins the gentle, joyful, lifelong work of tending to that garden, of watering it, nurturing it, and protecting it, so that it may continue to bear fruit for many seasons to come. This is the stage you are in now. So, how do you tend to this sacred garden within? You do so through a new kind of conscious living. In the past, your choices about diet, rest, and entertainment might have been about self-improvement or personal preference. Now, they take on a holy significance. Caring for your physical form is now more significant than it has ever been before. You are not just looking after your health. You're looking after a purpose. Every choice you make concerning what you take in, how you find rest, and where you spend your hours, these things now hold great importance, for they represent a holy agreement with me. This is the stewardship of your presence. The channel through which my spirit flows must be kept clear. Consider the media you consume, the conversations you engage in, the information you feed your mind. Ask yourself a simple question. Does this bring static, or does it bring clarity? Does it align with the peace within me, or does it create dissonance? You will find your tolerance for negativity, gossip, and shallow distractions has diminished significantly. This is a sign of health. Most importantly, consider how you find rest. In our frantic world, rest is seen as a luxury or a sign of inactivity. For you, it is now an absolute necessity. It is no longer merely an option. It is essential for the work I am accomplishing through you. In the quiet, you recalibrate your spiritual receiver. In stillness, you allow the presence within you to settle and deepen. Do not mistake this stillness for inaction. It is the most productive work you can do, for it safeguards the very source of your new influence. This new life is navigated by an entirely new compass. You are no longer guided solely by logic, ambition, or the expectations of others. You are learning to move forward as my spirit guides, and your physical form is coming to follow that leading. You are learning to heed your body's subtle cues. A sudden lack of peace, a feeling of heaviness, a gentle pull towards something unexpected. These are the nudges of my reality. Because your body is now so intimately involved in my work, you can no longer overlook it when your spirit is unsettled. That inner check, that feeling that something is off, is no longer a vague anxiety. It is your divine guidance system at work. As you learn to follow this inner compass, you will find that it often leads you in a direction opposite to the flow of the world. You will sense a summons to stillness. When others rush into frantic activity, you will feel a gentle pull to venture further in faith, When others are content to cease and settle for comfort, you will be prompted to speak a word of truth or extend a hand of grace when others remain silent. Do not be alarmed by this. The self you are becoming is no longer ordinary. You are set apart for my purpose. You are learning to walk to the rhythm of a different drum, the very heartbeat of heaven. And here is the most liberating truth for this lifelong journey. You do not have to do this in your own strength. The transformation you have endured was not to turn you into a spiritual superhero who must now perform perfectly. It was to make you into a trusting child who can walk in constant communion with their Father. There is no need for you to push or strain. You do not have to conjure up great feats of spiritual power. Your part is simply to remain close to me, to practice awareness of my presence, and the reality I govern will naturally and gracefully unfold around you. My cherished child, the work is done. The new you has been established. I now give you this charge. Do not look back. Do not attempt to step back into the patterns you once knew. That season of your life is finished. Release it. Welcome the quiet space. Welcome the fresh strength. Welcome this different, more beautiful way of being. Walk in the peace I have so carefully established within you. Know that my presence remains with you, not as a fleeting feeling, but as a constant, unwavering covering. My favor rests upon you, my beloved. The journey of becoming is over. The journey of being has just begun. And know that this is not the end of our conversation, but the beginning of a new chapter in our relationship. I have more to reveal to you, more depth to uncover, more strength to build within you. Do not hesitate to return to these truths, to listen again, to allow my words to continue shaping and encouraging you on the path ahead. You are deeply loved, and you are never alone.